The Iran War 2026: Causes, Consequences, and Global Impact. The conflict involving the Islamic Republic of Iran and a coalition led by the United States and Israel has rapidly evolved into one of the most consequential geopolitical crises of the early 21st century. What began as targeted military strikes in late February 2026 has now broadened into a multifaceted confrontation with deep regional and global repercussions, affecting energy markets, economies, supply chains, and the stability of the wider Middle East. Origins and escalation of the war. The 2026 Iran conflict was triggered by a coordinated aerial campaign by the United States and Israel against Iranian military infrastructure, nuclear-linked installations, and high-profile leadership targets at the end of February. Airstrikes struck key cities, including Tehran, and were described by U.S. officials as an effort to degrade Iran's strategic capabilities and halt perceived threats. In response, Iran launched a series of retaliatory missile and drone attacks, not only against military sites in Israel and U.S. bases in the Gulf, but also against allied states' territory, including Bahrain and Qatar, escalating regional tensions. The death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in the initial strikes marked a rare and dramatic escalation, undermining Tehran's political hierarchy and fueling widespread retaliation. Violence has not been confined to Iran's borders. Iranian drone assaults have struck Oman's ports and oil tankers, with casualties reported, while missile fire in Bahrain damaged critical naval installations. Why this war matters globally. 1. Regional instability and broader conflict risks. The Iran war is no longer a localized dispute. It now involves missile exchanges across the Gulf, airspace closures, and the potential engagement of militia groups backed by Tehran. International experts warn that this could pull in additional powers and widen the conflict across the Middle East. Diplomatic efforts have thus far failed to contain the escalation, and the risk of a wider regional war involving neighboring countries remains a pressing concern. Humanitarian toll and civilian impact. Beyond military fronts, the war has inflicted severe human suffering. Thousands of civilians have been killed or wounded from airstrikes and missile barrages, and many more face displacement as infrastructure collapses and services degrade. Hospitals, already strained, are overwhelmed, and refugee movements are increasing within Iran and into neighboring states. Economic and energy market shockwaves, oil prices, and energy security. Iran's location adjacent to the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly 20% of the world's oil and LNG flows, makes the conflict a direct threat to global energy security. Disruptions from military activity have already caused oil prices to surge and raised fears of prolonged scarcity. Analysts warn that continued attacks on shipping and key energy infrastructure could push prices even higher, potentially above $100 per barrel, with profound effects on inflation and global growth. Financial markets and trade. Global stock markets have responded sharply to these developments, with cumulative sell-offs seen in major indices across the United States, Europe, and Asia. Bonds, currencies, and commodities have all reflected heightened risk aversion and economic uncertainty. Supply chains beyond energy are also disrupted. The war has halted freight traffic through major Gulf ports and closed airspace, leading to cargo delays, higher shipping costs, and strains on industries dependent on timely delivery of goods, from electronics to pharmaceuticals. Tourism and broader economic effects. Tourism in the Middle East, a key revenue source for many nations, is projected to fall sharply, with millions fewer visitors expected in 2026 due to travel disruptions and safety fears. Many economists now warn that if the war continues, global inflation could receive a fresh upward push and growth forecasts may be downgraded as markets digest shock after shock. Strategic and political consequences. The war has already led to significant shifts in global diplomacy. Several Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) nations have condemned Iranian actions and reinforced their security partnerships, while other countries call for de-escalation and restraint. Experts believe the longer the conflict persists and the more it spreads, the greater the likelihood of entrenched geopolitical blocs forming, with implications for global alliances, trade routes, and world order. Looking ahead, scenarios and risks. While some analysts hope for a quick resolution, military dynamics and political calculi suggest that the conflict could last weeks or months. If so, both the economic shocks and humanitarian toll are likely to deepen, with longer-term consequences for energy markets, global growth, and geopolitical stability. In the worst-case scenario, a full blockade of key shipping routes or wider regional engagement could create a severe disruption not seen in decades, threatening global supply chains, inflation outlooks, and international security structures. Conclusion: the 2026 Iran war represents a defining moment in contemporary geopolitics. Its effects are no longer confined to battlefields but resonate across global markets, energy supplies, and international relations. As diplomatic, military, and economic pressures continue to mount, the world watches closely, knowing that the conflict's outcome will shape the geopolitical landscape for years to come. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more video.